In this video, I'm gonna teach you guys the correct way to do every 90 possible, as well as at the end of the video, gonna give you a bonus trick on how to do 2 90s in one jump. So make sure you watch the whole video through because I'm gonna give you guys the tips and tricks that I wish I knew when I first started doing 90s as well. There's gonna be timestamps in the description of all the topics that I'm gonna be discussing so you can skip right to them. But just to let you know, you should watch the whole video through because you never know, you might increase your skill by learning something new. 94% of people that watch my videos are not subscribed to my channel, so if you guys can hit that like button and the sub button for the one time, it would be greatly appreciated. This video altogether is going to be a build up, and I'm going to show you guys step by step on what you should be doing to improve your 90s. And if you can't do these beginning things, then you need to work on. Now keep in mind, this is a very beginner move and you should learn how to do this at the start. All you have to do is place a flat and a stair, and this will help you get used to the rotations when you're going from right to left. And you should be able to do this from both sides really fast. In fast motion, all you do is just spam the flat and the stair really quickly. And as you can see, I can do this from both sides. Now from here, what you want to do is get the basic movement down and just know that you have to place this wall here, this here, and then like this. So it's a two-part motion. First is the walls and then the flat and the stair. Now a lot of people, when they start doing 90s, the habit that they run into doing a lot is this right here, where they bang into the wall when they try to turn. And that's because you guys are jumping at the wrong time and not in the correct spot. Now another big problem is that when people are doing 90s, they tend to jump off like this because they have no control of their player, and that's also because you're jumping at the wrong spot. So the reason why you guys are doing that is because you're jumping at the wrong time, like I said. To combat that mistake, what you want to do is you want to place these walls here, and then instead of jumping too early, you want to force yourself to jump into the stair like this. So you go boom, and then if you notice, I'm jumping into the stair, and that will stop me and give me more control from jumping into the wall. So if I do it at a faster pace, no matter where I stop, as long as I turn and then jump, then I'll be good to do this 90. Just make sure that you're not jumping and then trying to turn. That's not how it works. So even when you're doing 90s the reverse way, I'm still kind of keeping that same concept. What I'm doing is I'm building these walls around me like this. I went in this motion and then I jumped into the wall like this, into this front wall. Make sure you never jump and then try and turn. That's how you lose momentum and you'll hit the wall. Now just a fair warning, if you guys are doing 90s and this happens to you, where your floor is getting on top of your head like this means that you're looking too high up on this wall placement, and when you have to place the floor, it ends up, if you place it here, which is above halfway above this wall right here, it's gonna go above that. So you have to make sure that you're looking down more when you place the wall like this. And if you notice, I'm kind of looking below the bottom half of that wall. So when you do it in fast motion, I kind of stay looking at the bottom half, because if I looked up more, I could look up a little higher like this, but if you notice, I'm still kind of looking like halfway. This is good practice as well, but I just like to look down a little more because it's still just as clean. Now, if you get stuck going underneath your stair like this, that means that you're placing your stair way too late and you need to get used to pressing the buttons fast. So like I said earlier, this is just good practice because it gets you used to placing both of these at once. And then from there, once you do that quick enough, then you probably won't get caught underneath your stair as much because you learned how to place it really quick. So if you're ever getting caught underneath your stair, make sure you do what I said earlier, and also make sure that you're jumping at the right time. When you jump, you want to make sure that you're jumping on like this first tile kind of area. Maybe you can be over here if you really wanted to, but you don't want to jump too deep into this floor, because the deeper you get into this floor right here, the more you're going to have to jump, and it's going to screw you up and make it more likely for you to get stuck underneath your floor. Now, if you're really having trouble and you're falling off like this when you're doing 90s, just make sure that you're jumping into the stair like I said earlier. And whenever you're trying to do this spider one in particular, this spider 90, you have to make sure that you place this and then look into it that way, okay? It's without the walls. It's a little harder than normal 90s because a lot of people, when they tend to do this one, they always end up doing this, or they always end up doing this. So like I said earlier, just make sure you're looking down in this little area right here and you're not looking above the midway point of this wall right here. That way it will help you when you're doing this move. If you notice, I'm kind of looking at the corner where the wall meets the floor, and I'm just keeping it that same way, and I'm going very smooth. So like I said, I'm doing it smooth, but if you notice, I'm kind of looking in this little corner right here. Every time I do this move, I come up and then I come down, and as I go up, I'm dragging up the walls, and then as I go back down, I'm putting the floor in the stair and I'm jumping into it. So in faster motion, I'm going up and then down, up and then down, up and then down like that. And you should be able to do it from both sides. It's the same kind of concept. Now I noticed that a lot of people, when they do left 90s, they struggle with it. I've also gotten a comment like this in my comment section, and the best way I can help you is to just make sure that you really understand when you're doing these left-sided 90s, it's the same kind of concept, and you're jumping into the stair like this as well. Just make sure that you're jumping like right about here. Just make sure that you don't jump too late and you don't get stuck underneath the stair like this, because that's a big problem. You have to make sure that you place those as quickly as you can. And even though you may be placing it as quickly as you can, you might have to start doing it even faster, so just try and get used to the muscle memory. Now when it comes to doing EU 90s, I can do them on keyboard and I can do them on controller, but the main thing is that when you're doing these 90s, you have to make sure that you're just doing it in reverse, and it's the same kind of concept. You can even do this and then switch it up. So for example, right there I went like this and then I went down like that. It doesn't really matter which 90s you do, they're all the same speed. Don't get caught up in thinking that one's faster than the other. Just do whatever one you are most consistent with. But if you really want to practice this different style of 90 that I kind of recommend, you come into it like this and then you jump forward, just like I was saying. So boom, I'm going boom and then boom like that, and then I just wrap around again and then I wrap around again, and you keep doing that. Now this is a lot more difficult from the other side, but it's the same concept. You just have to make sure that you look here and then do this. It looks a lot weirder because of Fortnite and the right hand peek type thing, so just make sure that you're doing this in a smooth fashion and make sure you're jumping in the right spots and make sure you're jumping early enough as well. So you just come here, you go boom, and then you jump into it like that. It's the same concept for all these. All the rules that I talk about apply to every single type of 90. So the next thing I want to talk about is the fake 90, and this is something that is really important, and you should learn this because it throws off a lot of people, especially in build battles. It is a little bit of a waste of mats, but in creative this is a good useful tip to understand. So the next thing I want to talk about is infinite 90s, and just remember that every third jump you get jump fatigue. When you're doing infinite 90s, that's really important to remember. Now obviously this is more advanced, but just make sure that when you're doing the 390s like this, you get used to those, and you can only do infinite 90s when you get used to the triple 90. From here, this is where the infinite 90 thing will come into play. All you do is do a 90 without jumping and make sure you don't lose momentum. And yes, this is possible on controller as well as keyboard and mouse, but just make sure that you understand when you're doing these 90s, it can get kind of confusing, because if you're not jumping, you might fall off like this, or at the same time, you might get stuck. If you look kind of in this corner, you'll lose momentum too much. So just make sure you're looking in the right spot. It's just like a normal 90. And if you notice, I'm just not jumping, but I'm placing all the building pieces really fast. So make sure you're just not looking down too much and you're keeping your head up, because if you don't, you'll do what I just did right there. So make sure you do these 90s normally, and don't try and do it crazy style where you're looking down all the way like this, because if you see right there, I kind of stopped even though I was holding W. So you just have to make sure you're doing them like normal 90s and it will work out. And now from there, it gets really simple when you understand that. All you do is do 390s, and then on the third one, all you do is just do one without jump, 390s, and then one without jump. And you just keep doing that over and over and over, and then you're doing infinite 90s. So I beg you guys that you make sure you keep your 90s just like you would your edit. And that's when you're doing this edit right here. Notice how I only do the corners. I don't do the entire build. So when you're doing that with 90s, make sure that you're not jerking your camera like this. It's supposed to be very clean and simple. Make sure it's tight. That's how it's supposed to be. Hey, yo, that's messy. Make sure you keep it tight and that you keep it clean. That way you'll be able to have efficient, clean 90s so you could see where people are while you're building. That's a pro tip that some people don't really know. So when you're doing 90s, don't do motions like this. You want to make sure it's clean like this. You notice I'm looking down just a little bit. The old way of doing 90s was kind of cool looking at the time for season like 4 maybe to 7, and that was to do it like this, where you look up a lot and look down a lot, but that's really not the correct way to do it. Make sure you understand that it's got to be clean. That way you have an advantage when you have an enemy building on you. If you're actually learning something in this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up in the comment section to let me know that you guys are getting something out of it. For those of you who actually stuck around to watch the entire video, I'm going to show you guys a bonus tip that the people in the beginning of the video that left aren't going to get. Now you could do 90s 2 times as fast if you do this tip that I learned from Mr. Sap. So all you have to do is do 190 without jumping and then the other one with jumping, and essentially you're doing 2 90s in 1 jump. So in fast motion it looks like this. So if you guys have any further questions regarding this matter, you can come through on the Twitch chat, or my Discord. And I actually have a text chat in my Discord called PC Questions and Fortnite Questions, where you guys can ask me any question you like and I will gladly answer them. Don't forget to use my supporter creator code KenBeans if you want to support me further. All the links to all my socials will be in the description of this video, so if you want to check any of them out, feel free to do that. Until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and a great night. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.